Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Sovereign Soul. Welcome to Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channels 250 and 251. I'm going to give you another reminder to make sure you're downloading the Zingo TV app on your mobile and TV devices. You can find Zingo TV in the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. Be sure to leave us a comment and rate while you are there. We want to know how we're doing for you. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chrome, Amazon Fire, Fire Sticks, Roku Sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 forward. Happy Tuesday and welcome to the online audience as we begin to welcome them in as they file in. We're so excited to have you here. Make sure that you are sharing this to all your respected pages and groups and profiles. We're so excited. I am your host, Jacqueline Hopper. My mission is to support you with guiding self-mastery, supporting with strengthening psychic development, intuitive development, and healing work. I cannot wait to have my beautiful guest introduced. I'm going to actually do that for you, Miss Ellie. The fabulous Ellie Lee is here with us today. It is bright and early where you are, my friend, so I am appreciating you. Ellie Lee is a seasoned on-camera host, actress, and founder of Elevate on Camera. Has had remarkable careers. I'm going to give you careers. The bio says career, but listen, let's be real. You've had a lot. You have a lot to be shouting out. Let's see. Let's back to this. Amazing career, including being featured on E!, MTV, VH1, The Wendy Williams Show, iHeartRadio, Complex, and more, from conducting interviews with music icons like BTS and Jennifer Lopez, to hosting a live morning television, covering red carpets, and offering on-camera commentary to top pop culture shows. She's made a mark in various facets of the entertainment world. In addition, I told you people, she's got like a resume here. In addition to her accomplishments in the public eye, Ellie holds a title of Certified Mystical Life Coach from Masters of Self-Mastery University. And over the past 6 months, she's been diving deeper into her spiritual journey, navigating wounds, and transforming trauma into personal empowerment. Girlfriend embraces the philosophy to go big or go home. And let me tell you, this is going to be so good. Listen, I saw you for the first time in Instagram. I have donned you my virtual BF, like we are best friends. I said to my team, like, I'm just going to let her know how in love I am with her, because I am absolutely in love with you. Energy. It is so freaking powerful. I want to start with you giving us a bit of background, because just looking at your energy, having had a bit of a conversation with you, there's just so much to you and your story and what's gotten you to where you are today. And I want you to give us a little bit more of you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, hi, everybody. And thank you, Jacqueline, so much for having me. As soon as I met you two, I felt your spark and I was like, yes, I love high energy people. It always fuels mine. So I'm really excited and grateful to be here. Hi, everybody. My name is Ellie Lee, and I've spent most of my life supremely depressed. That's how really I would sum up my life. And I was extremely emotional and sensitive as a child. And, I think that we weren't raised, unfortunately, in an enlightened city, right, where we have caregivers who are enlightened and healed and whole. And so, of course, you're going to grow up with a lot of wounding and a lot of trauma that you haven't processed at certain ages. And so I was just really sad growing up, and nobody really knew what to do with me. And so when I was in high school, I started having like really debilitating panic attacks, and they sent me to the ER, and the ER was like, she needs to see a psychiatrist. And so I went into a psychiatrist's office, and they talked to me for 10 minutes, and they prescribed me my first antidepressant. So the last 20 years I've spent on antidepressants, all kinds, high doses down to medium doses to low doses, back to high doses, and in and out of talk therapy. And nobody could really answer why I felt the way that I felt. And in 2019, I was at the rock bottom of the rock bottoms, as I'm sure a lot of you know what that's like. And I just heard the calling to start doing inner work. And I didn't even really understand what that meant. I just knew that I was supremely messed up and I needed help.
Mm.
And so I started this program where I started doing inner child work. And I realized, oh, I am really screwed up and I've got a
Mhm.
lot of unprocessed trauma in here and I don't know what it really means to love myself. I was 32 years old and I didn't understand what self-love really was. It
Mm.
was a concept that was really foreign to me.
Mm.
And so when I stepped into the world of healing, I didn't know, but inevitably became a spiritual path for me. I grew up really religious my entire life and was really brainwashed to believe that anything outside of Christianity was satanic. And so
Mm.
it was something that I never touched. And so when I started seeing 1111 everywhere, I didn't have anyone to ask what that meant for me. So I Googled it. I Googled into the search bar, am I going crazy? I'm seeing 1111 everywhere. And angel numbers came up. And I was like, what is that? And thus began my true awakening into spirituality and what that really looked like. And wow, I didn't know what a journey that would unfold for me. And now it's been almost 4 years and I've been on quite the ride, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate of what it
Yes.
feels like when you awaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's not comfortable.
No.
I don't know who out there has been advertising comfortability when it comes to a spiritual awakening, but like
Yeah.
I think you and I missed that boat.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. Like people really truly are taken back.
Yeah.
And I think it can also be very discouraging
Mhm.
because of the way that a spiritual journey is portrayed in the public eye.
Mhm.
Like it's this blissful experience and you're experiencing God in such an incredible way. Your guides, the angels,
Mhm.
like I really truly want to be real with people. Like a spiritual journey is not for the faint of heart.
No.
But I know that those that are called on the journey are those that are meant to make big
Yes.
impacts
Mhm.
here in the world. So
Mhm.
talk to me about, okay, so you
Mm.
have this spiritual awakening. Your
Yeah.
soul starts going, okay, I'm meant to do this work for myself. At what point did you realize you were meant to do this work for others?
Well, so here's the thing, right? So I've spent 15 plus years of my life chasing the dream of making it in Hollywood. You were talking about how you wanted to be the next Oprah. You're
Yeah,
telling me that? Yeah.
yes,
I mean,
that's
I
me.
yeah, that was a part of my dream too, is like I knew that I wanted to be an on-camera personality. I knew that I wanted to interview people. I knew that I wanted to be an actress. I knew that the moment I saw a camera when I was 16, on campus, like when I was in high school, I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I'm going to do everything I can to do that. And
Mm.
so I was mesmerized by Hollywood. I was mesmerized by the art of performing. I knew that's something that's definitely an imprint on my soul for sure.
Yeah.
And so when I entered into that world, I experienced a lot of religious trauma. And after all of that experiences with that, I was like, none of God doesn't exist and Jesus doesn't exist. None of that is real. So I'm going to cut myself off and I'm going to look into what the world is offering me. And
Mm.
in the earthly world, right, in the third dimension, what they flash in front of you is clout, fame, notoriety. And that's what I started to chase. And
Mm.
so I spent so much of my 20s and my early 30s just walking in with like these twinkles and wanting to be an artist and wanting to be a performer. And then I quickly started getting really lost in the sauce because I had so much unworthiness, because I needed validation. I needed to be seen. I need to be heard. I need to be loved. Everything was outside of me, right? I didn't know how to connect to my divinity. I didn't know how to connect to my soul.
Mhm.
So I just needed to chase this high of wanting to be loved by the world. And so I was already mentally and emotionally sick. And then stepping into that world, constantly hearing no's, being surrounded by fakeness and superficiality and all of these things that were so surface level, I got really lost in the sauce. And I spent so many years just suffering and suffering and
Mhm.
suffering. And my mental and emotional health was deteriorating and all this stuff. But my ego wanted this dream. Like, no matter how sick I got, my ego wanted this. And I thought that that was my soul. This is how disconnected I was, right? When you're
Mhm.
disconnected, you don't know what your soul is or what your ego is, right? All of it's the same. You can't
Mhm.
differentiate from your mind, between your heart, nothing. And so I was determined to make it, even though I started to feel the friction of something isn't right. Like I'm chasing this thing, but it's not happening the way that I want it to be. And then on top of that, every single person in my life that I was friends with was blowing up. So I had to like constantly go into like what that made me feel like. And it was just so low. And I would just like spend so many nights just crying and crying and losing myself. And
Mm,
so when I had my awakening, I started to have to face that part of me and that aspect of me of like, why do I want this so much? Because I'm sick. And I've had to experience a lot of deaths with that part of me.
mm,
And what I can honestly say is I have spent the last 4 years dying,
mm.
dying and dying and rebirthing and surrendering to what is. And now I started to really see like my ego wanted that, but my soul was always driving me to another place. And now that I'm on this path of igniting the light within myself, I see and understand on such a deep level that this is what I'm here to do with many souls to help the collective shift into oneness and back to love. And I can only do that by helping myself first. I can only do that by really connecting back to me and healing the parts of me that have caused harm, that have hurt myself, that spew darkness out in the world. And that is taking divine responsibility over me
Yeah.
and the way that I've showed up over and over again. And so that's been huge for me to see that my path has not been what I thought it was. It's a whole other thing. And surrendering to that has been a journey in itself.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And you know, I think one of the things that we talked about as well is when you know that you have a mission, you know you have
Yeah.
a purpose, and you know it's meant to be really big.
Hmm.
And when you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on in the psychic world, right? And you can see vision and spirit shows you what your potential is and where you're going, and then it's not here, you're like, oh my gosh, like I've known this is what
Hmm.
I'm supposed to do. I know it's supposed to put me on these platforms and these stages, and like, I just want to scratch my face off. What am I doing wrong? When in fact, it's not anything that's being done wrong. It's
Right.
just not that God timing yet
Yes.
of when, or both not being the speech you're meant to give yet. You don't know what that is. Like you think it's going to look like being out in the world as an actress when, that mask per se of an actress, it's not what you're meant to be. Authentic you out in the world on the stages, being you, right?
Yeah.
Being famous, if that be your lot, your path, like being famous for being you
Mhm.
and your story. And so, of course, like, yes, this is the big vision, but this is where we have to journey in between
Yes.
where we are and where that big vision is going to take us.
Yeah.
You know
Because
what?
you can't deny that. So this is something you could probably relate to is like you can't deny that the performer or the personality is an imprint of your soul, right? You can't deny that, right? When I'm on camera, when I'm in front of an audience, when I'm on a stage, I light up. Like it's a feeling that I cannot make up. This is not my ego. This is my soul just expressing,
High,
right? Just
yes.
being fulfilled, right? I can't deny that, but it just didn't look the way that I thought in my mind or what my ego wanted, which means, well, what is this imprint really meant to do? And I know that it's a part of this path, and I'm not attached to what that looks like at all anymore because I'm just all I know is like I need to just focus on me and just keep healing me so that I can walk into and become what I'm meant to become in this life.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And again, there's this fine print that's right behind the scroll on your screen, friends. It says it's not safe or comfortable or easy. Like the ego's
Yeah.
going to have you go, no, 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 no.
Yep.
But it is meant to press the comfort zone because we grow
Yes.
in that space
Yep.
and we expand greatly for
Mhm.
ourselves and for the collective
Yes.
when we take that on.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I love this. And okay, so let's go back to me falling in love with you. Um, I'm on Instagram and your beautiful face pops up and you're like taking your ear pods out and you're like, all right, I got to tell you this. There's nothing more badass,
Yeah.
nothing more badass than someone who takes ownership for their shit. And I was
Yep.
like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Where's the mic? Drop the mic. And I was in that moment, I was like, yes, there is nothing more powerful than someone that can take that ownership for um their own journey, their own messiness, their own woundedness. And when we say take ownership for it, from my perspective, I want you to go into this for yourself, but from my perspective, it's about me really being able to face that victim. This was my journey
Mhm.
of like, okay, so life's not happening to me. It's not because they think this, that, or the third that I'm not. It's because of something within me.
Mm. Yeah.
But I don't think so. Stomp my foot, right? Hold my breath. Like that's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
But it meant me taking ownership for my stuff, meant me really facing the victim
Yeah.
and being able to reclaim that power of no, I get to choose if this is going to be something that I make my reality. It's not
Yeah.
anybody else's choosing.
Yep.
What does it mean to you, and through what you do with clients, through your journey of self-growth and expansion, what have you come to understand when it
Yeah.
comes to owning your shit? What does that mean?
Yes. Yes. So my mentor, Rachel Fiore, her soul came here to bring something called the 20 Universal Ways of Oneness, which are 20 spiritual decrees on how to become an enlightened being. And the first universal way of oneness is the way of which means taking divine responsibility over the way that you show up in this world, over your shit, over your messiness, over your ugly, right? We are so emotionally fragile as a collective because nobody knows how to take ownership of their stuff. So what do? We just project and we blame and we point the finger and say, no, you're the problem. I'm not the problem. And taking divine responsibility over yourself is going, wow, that just really triggered me. And that brought up a lot of uncomfortable stuff that I don't like. I'm going to go take some time to go into what actually just got activated in me and go take some time and love that into transcendence, right? And taking divine responsibility is saying, I'm no longer going to be the victim. Because this is what it is, right? Everybody thinks life's done to them. Everything is done to you. And it's like, no, it's done for you. And the moment you shift that and you begin to truly understand that, because this is something that I see in the spiritual world a lot. It's like, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. It doesn't matter how many books you're reading. It doesn't matter what you're spewing. Have you integrated and embodied what you are studying? Because if you're not integrating and embodying it, it don't mean anything. Everybody can spit knowledge, right? And so for me, it is integral for me to show up in the world doing the work. I'm not here to just repeat things. I'm here to really be someone who's saying, no, I'm taking responsibility, and it is not easy because I've spent most of my life blaming everybody. I'm the victim, right? That's an energetic frequency as well. We call that a program that we run, victim consciousness, right? And it lives in most of our fields, right? That was birthed at a very specific time in our lives. And so for me, taking responsibility is going, wow, I'm really angry right now. And that really hurt me. And I feel unworthy and I feel fear and I feel guilt and I feel shame. Let me go and let me honor that aspect of me that's showing up that feels this way. And when most of us start doing this, what you will start to see is a shift in humanity, right? No longer are we throwing up on people. We see people don't understand this. What we see out in the physical world is a direct reflection of what is internally within us that is not getting seen, that is not getting loved by ourselves, right? People always like, I want to see change in the world. And they go out in the world and they're angry and they're hating and they're in separation. And it's like, you want to see change in the world? Begin by going into the parts of you that show up in darkness, the parts of you that cause harm. And the more that we take responsibility of ourselves, you will see what happens frequency wise and energetically in the collective. Like, be the change you want to see in the world, as Gandhi said. And that takes, like you were talking about, people think like awakening and like getting to higher levels of consciousness is passive. Hell no. It is not just love and light and like, let's just pretend like we live in the astral and like, and I was sucked into that for a little bit and I had to learn some hard lessons with that. Like, we are here to be human beings as divine souls, which means we are here to experience the wide range of emotions, the negative, the positive, the good, the bad. All of it is what it is. And the moment we start to take and shift into responsibility, the moment you will change and the world will change.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And I think the thing too to acknowledge here, because if you're coming into the space for the first time and you've not heard victim consciousness, if you've not heard the concept of playing a victim or feeling the victim, let me give this to you. When we are small, very small, we come into a world. Well, I don't need to go over that. You know how you got here. But anyways, we have parents that are there to support us, that are there to make sure our needs are met, that are there to make sure that we are cared for. And if that happens, if that doesn't happen, whichever path that goes for you, there's this moment when the human you recognizes, I just fell, hurt myself, and these ones came running. I felt so not so good. I felt sick, what have you. And these ones came running. I went into the world and someone said something mean and it hurt my feelings, and these ones came running. And so it is something that we don't necessarily willingly walk into. It's something, like you said, that we're conditioned to think that this gets me seen, this gets me attention, this gets me love. And so we revert to it when these ones no longer see that, when we don't get that actual baton passed at 18. Congratulations, son and daughter. You are now an adult. Hallelujah, hallelujah, bye. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't happen. We're just like thrusted into this, and we are expected to know what we want to be in ninth grade for the rest of our lives, and show up into the world and be a contributor in some way, shape, or form. And we're supposed to have it all together. And that means our emotions. And like, none of this, like you said, gets taught. And one of the things that I and my work is really starting to show up and stand for is this conscious parenting that then says, listen. You have to see how things are moving here. We have to start owning ourselves where we are as adults, because what we're doing is just kind of recreating the same situation and scenario in our children. This doesn't mean our children just get to walk all over the place, but it should mean that our children, we look at us before we look to them to correct something. We look at ourselves and go, whoa, what's coming up within me, activated within me, that I really need to love here, because they're asking for attention and I'm triggered by their want for attention. How can I shift that then shifts the energy? And then how can I hold space for them properly that says, you don't have to have a boo-boo for me to love you. You don't have to have a bellyache for me to want to spend time with you. And you don't have to go out into the world and, have this type of association for me to be able to sit with you and hear you and speak with you and listen to you, and for you to know how important you are to me. I think that is part of this consciousness that you're speaking about, us owning and stepping into, because we have so much word vomit and energy vomit and, vampire energy taking place, because what we're doing is searching for what's in the world that's going to help us feel happy, that's going to help us feel loved, that's going to help us feel important, when really, like you said, the external world is just the illusion, the facade that's just there for us to learn how to get it from within. And my teaching practices for self-mastery is how to really master this path of knowing thyself, because this is where connection then begins to be found. This is where that God presence within you begins to be activated, and that presence of pure love and joy can be felt. And once you feel it, you never go back. You just never go back. Right? It's such a powerful thing. When we speak, and when you speak to clients about owning their own shit, talk to me about what you've seen. How do I want to pose this question? I
think I know what you're saying.
All right, I'm gonna let you go then, because we're like, I told you all we were besties. This is go.
I think that when clients come to me, they've heard, they can feel the resonance of truth that I'm speaking, right? And when clients come to me, they're ready to really do the work, right? You talk about self-mastery. The organization that I'm a coach for is Masters of Self University. We're here to teach you how to master yourself. Right?
People, it's so...
So the clients that come to me have tried everything, right? Me too. I tried everything. When I walked into the spiritual world, I was like, all right, give it to me. What you got? Right. And so I went hard because I knew that I had so much in there that I needed to heal. Right. And so everything and anything that I could get my hands on, I did. Right. So I was doing breath work constantly. I was meditating twice a day. I was EFT tapping. I was reprogramming my subconscious mind. I was doing affirmations. I tried plant medicine. I did women's retreats. I did everything and anything I could to heal myself. And I knew about 3 years in, everything I was doing was cute, but it wasn't getting to the root cause of why I was the way that I was, right? Why did I still hate myself? Why did I still show up super attached and codependent when I was in relationships? Why did I still feel a lot of anger and rage towards my parents? Why did I still feel like the victim? Why was I feeling all these things, but I'm doing everything that I can, right?
Yeah.
And for so long in the spiritual world, they tell you like, just connect within, all the answers are within, it's all within, right? And I'm like, awesome. What does that mean? And I don't really understand. I'm reading everything. I'm listening to all these podcasts. I'm following all these teachers. You're telling me all this stuff, but you're not really showing me the way.
Yeah.
And when I discovered the work that I coach now, I started to understand what it truly means to connect within. And this is what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
The God, the divinity within ourselves. We are all a fractal piece of the divine. Yes. We are all cut from the same cloth. There is no difference between you and me. And this is what's so crazy about humanity and this world is that we live in separation. We all are divided. We think that we're up against each other. You're better than me. I'm better than you. I'm superior. You're inferior. And that's the greatest illusion, is that if you all just took the moment to connect back to yourselves. And when I say connect back to yourself, it's literally learning how to connect back to your heart, how to open your heart, how to connect back to your soul, how to feel the divine that lives within you. You'll start to see there is no difference between you and I. We are all one. We just have forgotten. And we live in a world where we're controlled with fear and all of these things that keep us separated, that keep us divided. And that's what's so crazy about this incarnation. Like, this incarnation is the craziest incarnation that has ever existed.
Talk to me. Don't go any farther, girl. Please. This is the people. Yeah. Why is this the craziest? Talk to us. Tell us why. Why are brave souls that psychotic and decided to come to Earth now? Like, what in the world, right? I have my take. Go.
Yeah.
Go. Don't skip.
It's so funny. Like, I'll talk to souls that are on this path and I'll be like, so we decided this, like we really said I'll go down as tribute. And we did, and it's because Earth cannot hold this low density vibration anymore. It cannot. Look at what we have done to her. And think about it, like, people in religion, they're always talking about, I don't want to go to hell. I want to go to heaven. It's like, this is hell. Like, this world is here. We're here. I don't know where you think it is, but this is it, right? Yes. We live in a world where there's violence, rape, genocide, war, murder, sex trafficking. Like, if you don't think this is the lowest of the lows, wake up call. Yes. This is it. And we have created this. Yes. Okay. Right. And so because Earth cannot be in this third dimension anymore, she has to elevate to fifth dimension. Many of us souls decided to come on Earth to raise the frequency of Earth's vibration. Mm-hmm. And again, that is not a passive process. The awakening journey is not passive. It is hard work. It is hard. Anyone that tells you it's rainbows and butterflies, you're being conned. That is not the truth of what this journey is at all. The awakening and the unraveling of your shadow self, which you've been attached to for all of your life, and who you've known, has to die as many deaths as your soul has chosen to die and rebirth in this life. Mm-hmm. And that takes resilience, and it takes dedication, and it takes willingness and devotion. Yep. We came here to be warriors of the light, and warriors of the light are not prancing around in tutus and spreading sprinkles around the world. Like, no, the warrior has to go into the battle in the darkness, in the deepest crevice, in the parts where it hurts so much, where there is so much uncomfortableness. But then you remember who you are, you ignite that, you connect to that. And when you are that, you can go into every darkness and ignite it with the love and the light that you are. And you can do that by remembering and connecting back to the truth of who you are.
Yes. And you get to show other people properly. Yep. How it's done, because that's the other thing that we can get caught up in, from social media to the noise to, just everything that we can
Mhm.
subscribe to. This is how easy it is to get here. And this is all that you need to do. And, it isn't just about shifting your thought. It's not about just shifting your thought. We
No.
really have to do the energetics. The
Yes.
energetics are huge, because if we're not tapping into the energy, if we're not
Yes.
holding our energy, if we aren't owning our energy,
Yes.
right? Like, that's some hard shit, because when
Yes.
you're in spaces with people that you love and you've got to, like, I got to push you out and I got to walk away and I got to hang up now. I can't do this right now. Like, that takes a lot, like you say, of strength and resilience,
Yep.
because they know not what they do.
Yep.
They know not what they do. And
Mhm.
I think as a warrior, like, I'm raising my hand because I subscribe to all of what you just said. Like, that's all me. That's
Yep.
me. One of the things that has been the hardest for me, is the idea, the understanding, right? The truth that you cannot want something more for someone than they want for themselves, and you cannot heal on their behalf.
Nope.
And that's hard, because as see potential very clearly in
Mhm.
other people, and as someone that can read the energy, chef's kiss perfection. It is like a pain in the ass to just be like, if you would
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
take this ownership, you would
Mhm.
be connected to the greatest expression of who you are, the
Mhm.
highest version sitting literally on your head, wanting to pour through your energetic field and vibration and all the things. Like, just please attempt this. It's
Yep.
the hardest thing,
Yep.
because we were all given free will.
Mhm.
And although souls chose, all of them did, to
Yep.
come here, not every soul is going to remember that
Yep.
part of their agreement was to become activated and to
Mhm.
support the raising of the
Yep.
vibration, and they will choose not to. That's hard as a healer. Right?
Yes.
You
Beautiful.
do want to grab the sprinkles and the unicorn and be like, we ride at dawn. Like, we want to go out and do all of that. And
Yeah.
it's not, that's not what God intended.
Yep. And that's where we have to learn surrender, and we have to learn detachment truly, because I think we all have to move through those phases on this awakening journey of like wanting people to wake up, especially the people that you love, see what I see, do what I'm asking you to do, because if you do, like, the grass is so much greener on the other side, and you can't, right? And that's, I've had to really go into, why am I trying to control another person's journey? Like, what does it bring up in me, right, that I need to go into? And then learning how to surrender to what is. Like, every single soul that is here is on their own journey and path. And I think a lot of people get attached to, well, it's my mom and it's my sister, and it's like, well, they're their own soul, and you're not here to control any of that. The only person you can control is your path and what you're going to do, and then wish them for the best. And we have to be the examples, we have to be the beacons of light, and focus on ourselves. And then inevitably that will ricochet. Inevitably people will feel what that is doing to them energetically. People, when they contact me and they say, oh my God, you really helped me, it's like, your light just sees my light.
That's
I'm
it.
just igniting what's in you,
That's
because
it.
what's in me is in you. And then
That's
you
it.
have a choice, right? And
Yes.
whatever you choose, I honor that, but I also detach from whatever you choose, because, well, I'm only going to keep myself in suffering if I'm trying to lift you up. And I see that in a lot of couples. One
Yeah.
person's waking up and their partner's not, and they're freaking out, they don't know what to do. And it's like, go into what it's bringing up for you when your partner's not on the same path as you, when they're not elevating as high as you, because that's your stuff to own. And there's freedom in that, because then it's like, well, what you do is what you do, and what I do is what I do, and I can only look out for me and focus on me and love you and support you as you go on your own journey. It's
Yeah.
tough, but yeah, I think it's all a part of our journeys to really surrender to that.
It is. And surrender is not easy. Surrender
Yeah.
is a moment by moment,
Yeah.
breath by breath experience.
Yeah.
I used to think it was patience that was going to have to get tattooed across my forehead.
Yeah.
Then it evolved to trust tattooed across my forehead. And now I'm really thinking it's going to be surrender that they're going to want me to
Yeah.
tattoo across my forehead, because it is absolutely one of the, again, moment by moment. But when we stay connected to our souls, and when we
Mhm.
stay connected to that expression that is within us that wants to come out, this is where we can hold that space. and let that space we hold do what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, this is going to burst some people's bubbles, but I will promote myself as an energetic healer.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a mission here to support as many people as I can with the healing they are meant to be doing. But what that really truly means is that I hold a space of energy that is created with an intention of having love pour into this. When you step in, much like when your clients connect with you, when you step in willingly, you're the healer. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
walked and didn't heal everybody.
Yep.
He did not, you know what I mean? He healed the people that were ready to be healed.
Yep.
And even then, it wasn't even him that healed them, it was their willingness to be restored and
Yeah.
to be strengthened and to be cured. His presence of love and acceptance and seeing this for you, affirming it, declaring it, that's what allowed that soul to come back into, that restoration, and
Yeah.
for it to become aligned once more with what its perfection really was beyond the body. Because this is the thing. It's going to be crazy, but we aren't here to be the body. We're here to be the soul's expression within the body.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We have more sovereign power than we know and wield. And
Yep.
the body is just the vessel that we get to show up and express through. And so when we hold that space of love, and like you say, from in a space of detachment from that space of, not trying to control, we just say, here, this is me
Yep.
loving on you to the extent that you will allow it, and to the degree at which you're willing for it to be transformational, to alchemize for you. That's what a true healer does. They enter
Yeah.
a space, they fill it with love, they fill it with the energy of source, and what's meant to happen in that moment, that's on the person coming to receive.
Yeah. And as healers, when we're going into any session, we are the expansiveness and the spaciousness that allows the other being to open.
Yeah.
Because we are that spaciousness, because we are that expansiveness. And that's why this work is so crucial. And people like you and I, like, we have to always make sure to live in integrity, right? Because I've seen a lot of people in this space going, well, look to me. I'm your answer. Depend on me. And people, when they're so codependent, when they're so when they're so powerless, when they're so weak, right? That's when you start giving your power away to a psychic, to a healer, whatever it may be. And what you said is so important, is like, you are your own healer.
Yeah.
We are just here to guide you back to you. And the work that you're doing, that's how powerful you are. Remember that. Connect back to that. And I think that's so beautiful and so important, and of integrity, to remind people, like, no, you're the power. We're just here to guide you back to you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. To shine that mirror of what's possible
Mm-hmm.
when we show up in the energy of an integrity, right?
Yeah.
When we aren't trying to claim all the answers. My favorite thing about this work is that as we continuously evolve and as we continuously expand
Yeah.
our own journeys, we can hold that space for people to not follow, but maybe be led loosely,
Mm-hmm.
like be
Yeah.
led. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're the beacon of light, you hold the light, and you say, through my teachings, through what I've come to understand, and through my willingness to be vulnerable with what I've
Yeah.
got, let me speak through you what Spirit's delivered for me. Like, this is like the most powerful thing that I believe we can be doing at this point right now, because of the way, the chaos is loud.
Yeah. Yep.
The
And
chaos is loud.
and I really want to talk about what you said about everything is energy,
Yeah.
right? Every single thing is energy. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel is energy. And that's why I think that there's so much there's a lot of really hard stuff in the spiritual world that I see, because everything is always about the mind, right? Like, reprogram your mind, think differently than what you think. And it's like, or let it go, like, let everything go. And it's like, how do you want me to let go of shame? Or how do you want me to think my way out of shame? It exists. It's an energy that lives within my fields,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the work that I coach people on is like, when that energy gets activated, it lives within your fields. Energy can never die. It can only be transformed, right? That's why you always hear, like, we're alchemists. Like, what does that really mean? Well, you have the power to alchemize any energy with the love that you are. And I
Yeah.
truly start to understand on my path, like what self-love actually is. For years, I was like, okay, so self-love like is a boundary, and it is, right?
Yeah.
But self-love is a bath. Self-love is if I take myself out on a trip. It's like, no, self-love is how do you love yourself unconditionally when shit hits the fan? When the
Yes.
most uncomfortable stuff comes up, when pain is there and knocking on your door, how will you love yourself through all of that? How will you love the pain into transcendence? That's what self-love is. When you bring the frequency of unconditional love to shame, to guilt, to unworthiness, to fear, to victim consciousness, whatever it may be, it has no choice but to begin to transform into unconditional love, because that's how energy works. And if we start to really all do that, watch what happens in your life. Watch truly how fast you will begin to elevate. It's
Yeah.
not about the mind. Get out of your mind and drop into your heart, because
Yeah.
in your heart space is where true transformation really begins.
100%. And I think, again, for those that tune in that are new to all of this, it is, I will teach on the process. I'll teach on the 5 levels that we heal. You're right. It's not just the mental level that needs to be healed. And
Right.
then you can go on your merry way and like all joy has been restored. It's this, I acknowledge that there's thoughts happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to address the thoughts and see if this shifts and I feel relief. If this takes place, I did my thing. But if
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't take place and I don't feel relief, in fact, these thoughts keep ramping up, right? Thoughts left unchecked become energy. Energy becomes emotions in the body. Emotion becomes this physical dis-ease in the body when it's left unchecked, right? So there's this cycle, if you will, a spiral, if you will, that will take place
Mm-hmm.
because you're designed, especially the body, it's designed to say, hey, wake up. Hello. Hi. That pressure you keep feeling is really not okay with me in my body. Like
Mm-hmm.
my stomach's upset. Like, are we going to acknowledge this? Are you going to stop and acknowledge this? Because physical discomfort, unfortunately, is the state most people have to get into to really want more,
Yep.
to really want change.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when, I mean, we go to the doctor when we don't feel good here. We
Yep.
don't go to the doctor when we feel good. I do. I go to the doctor like as often as I can. Like, how's things going? Like, how do I maintain this? This
Yeah.
is amazing. Like, we're not taught that. We're taught to go to the doctor when shit does hit the fan within the body and you don't feel well.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught to rest, right? When we're sick. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not sick, there's no need to rest, right? You rest when you
Mm-hmm.
die, so to speak. Like, it's so backwards. And
Yep.
self-love, like you're saying, is our ability to bring that presence of our highest version. 90% of you is spirit. There's only 10% of you in the body.
Mm-hmm.
90% of your soul is existing, watching this play out through a physical expression, right? So when you can tap into that source of energy and you can bring her or him through, like what Ellie was saying, this is when I'm lit up. I could talk for hours on this stuff. I don't even feel pain right now. Like, I want to keep going. I keep looking at the time like, no, it's going too fast. Like, I'm in my soul's presence in this moment,
Yeah.
doing the work that she's supposed to be doing. That's how you know you're connected. When you can bring that energy through, this is when we can restore the mind to a more clear state of being. This is when we can shift the energetic vibration so that you feel emotionally changes taking place. Then the body starts to feel that relief, right? So it's a process, and there are levels to this. But it isn't just a one size fits all cookie cutter type of thing where we can express these affirmations. I'm not feeling anything within my body. My body's not like, yes, queen, but I'm just going to keep it because that's what they told me to do. Repetition,
Mm-hmm.
repetition, repetition, repetition will reprogram my subconscious mind. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, no. There's
Yeah.
a lot that must take place. And,
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a lot of exposure in the spiritual community. Like, there's been a lot of people speaking up and going, okay, that's not all. You
Yeah.
can't just do this part. You have to do all of this in order for you to see the shifts and changes and to alchemize, right? Taking
Mm-hmm.
one thing from one form to the next, being able to alchemize that energy into
Yep.
something that does feel good rather than having it have that control over you in a negative way.
Yeah. Um, my teacher always talks about how part of the human experience is we will experience pain,
Yes.
but where we get lost is we suffer. There's so
Mhm.
much suffering, 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 suffering.
Yeah.
And, as you were speaking, Western medicine in our world is so mind-boggling to me, right? Because all they do is focus on the physical.
Yeah.
And you're negating the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects that have caused the physical dis-ease, right?
Yes.
I've struggled with like severe gut issues my entire life. And I've been to every gastroenterologist and doctor in the world. And all they tell me is eat more veggies, take more of this, take more of that. And now on my journey, I'm like, no, I just have held so much trauma in my gut. And now that I'm doing the mental and emotional and spiritual work, now I'm starting to see improvements. And it's like, how many of us don't know this and
Yeah.
we succumb to getting rid of this, taking this, doing this. And it's like, oh, it's so backwards. We
It is.
literally live in the upside down world. This entire world is insane. Like sometimes I think about when I was up there, right? I'm looking down on earth. And obviously, like I've been here many times before, but like right before this life, I'm just thinking like, they're nuts down there. Like that is
Mm.
crazy down there. And then we come down here and we're like, this is like it is
Yeah.
insane. And
Yeah. Send me
I know
back.
that, yeah, right,
I'm
right.
ready to come up.
But I know that we're doing beautiful work here, and it's hard. But I know that we are the pioneers of this huge
Yeah.
shift, and it's not easy. Definitely not easy. I always say like they're going to study us, hundreds
Absolutely.
and thousands of years. They're going to go, man, they really came here. They did that in a very unconscious world, and we're going to
Yeah.
go, yeah, we did. You're welcome.
Exactly. It
Yeah,
is 100%.
yeah,
And with that said, I think the message needs to be to just be gentle with yourselves. Like, yes, you're here to do big things. And yes, there's big work that must get done for us to be able to move from a lower state of frequency to a higher state of frequency.
yeah,
Because when we do this, friends, we start to really get the things we say we want. We start to see the things we want to see. And we start to have the feeling experience that we've been wanting to have. But this is going to take time, and you've got to be gentle with you.
yeah.
And, practicing non-judgment for other people and their paths is probably the first place you can start, coupled with a desire to want to change, because the divine is going to show you exactly what you need to do. In fact, it's already working in your favor if you've joined Ellie and I today for this conversation. It is just profound. It's profound, and it's going to just ramp up. He keeps telling me we've got limited time, and I'm ignoring him because I want this to end.
Eduardo's like, let's go.
Let's go. So, like, okay, we'll do the thing. And Ellie, talk to us about where all of your new obsessive people like Jackie Hopper, where can we find you and stay connected to you? What's
Yeah.
your schedule like next week for another conversation? But yeah, like, where can we find you and connect
Yeah.
with you and stay in your world?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Lee. It's the same name for both of them. And I just really document my journey and my experiences, and I share everything that I'm moving through. And so if you guys want to learn more, you can definitely check me out there. And if you want to work with me, all the links are in my bio on my social
Yes.
media handles. Yeah.
And friends, there's a QR code right in the center, right below Ellie and I. You can also scan that QR code and you'll get hooked up with all the links so that you can connect with her, so that you can reach out to us as well. We're so excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with us. We love you.
Love you.
So good. So good. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for joining us today. I can't wait to connect with you all next week. Same time, same place for the Sovereign Soul. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. So make sure you go check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, you got to love it. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. We'll see you all next week. Bye.